Hello and welcome to Chinballs Gaming. I am Scorp and today I am testing out a few different Swapfile configurations on the Steam Deck. So I'd recently read that people have been reporting massive performance gains by increasing their Swapfile to 16 gigabytes over the stock 1 gigabyte. I, on the other hand, have been running with my Swapfile turned off completely for about a month now, so I thought I'd investigate and see if any at all provided any benefit or not. So this is the GTAV 5 built-in benchmark. It is running on mostly high settings at 1280 by 720. So in the top left we have the standard configuration of 1GB swap file. In the top right we have the extended configuration of 16GB swap file. In the bottom left we have the swap off, which is I've been running, and in the bottom right we have zRam. Now zRam is using RAM itself as a swap file, which might sound crazy, but zRam is actually compressed and it's compressed really well. I'm not actually sure if this is working correctly. I will explain this later in the video, but for now you can just see the benchmarks. So there are a lot of analytics on the screen, but the main ones that you're probably concerned about are the RAM and the VRAM. So the VRAM is what your GPU can use, and the RAM is what the CPU can use. It is actually a shared pool. The VRAM can use up to 8 GB of that 16 GB, and it has priority over the CPU load. So if the GPU wants to use 8 GB of RAM, it will always be able to use 8 GB of RAM. Also, the number just to the right of the RAM metric is the swap file usage. So as you can see with the swap off, 0 GB are being used. Do also note this is total usage and it never gets cleaned out. So between runs and depending on which one I'm filming, it's not representative of how much the game is actually using at this exact moment. So I ran these tests multiple times and basically, they're all the same. Every single test comes out with 56.5 frames per second on average for every single configuration and every run I did for every single configuration. The metrics that GTA provide aren't great, to be honest, so you're going to have to rely on your eye for this, but I didn't really notice any stutterings or anything like that watching back any of these videos, but maybe you should have an eye on the frame times and look for any dips and spikes and make your own decisions there. So next up we have Assassin's Creed Valhalla. This is running at 1280 by 800, this native resolution of the Steam Deck, with the graphics preset of high. For this benchmark, I recorded the first run after a fresh reboot for each configuration so you could see the swap file usage of the actual game. But subsequent runs for each configuration with the swap files full did not provide any difference in the final results. They were all within error of each other. So for every configuration and indeed every run, the average was 37 frames per second. The 1 and the 0.1% lows were consistently lower with the 16GB swap file, and they were varied with the 1GB swap file, but I don't think they were enough to draw any conclusions. And also I only did like 3 or 4 runs per configuration. Next up we have Borderlands 3. This is also running at 1280 by 800 and the graphics preset is on medium. Not a lot to say on that one. The average frame rate all round was 44.5 on every single run and configuration. Do watch back again, keep an eye out for those frame times, see if you spot any stutters, and draw your own conclusions. This is Control. Control does not have a built-in benchmark, so I just found a place to have a quick run around. Hardly scientific, but I thought it was worth included anyway, and again, I did not spot any differences. No frame drops anywhere that I noticed particularly. All about the same.
Alright, it's our enemy. That babble's contagious. It burrows in like an infuriating melody that makes you hum it over and over.
I did also run some tests on Shadow of the Tomb Raider at very high settings, I believe they were, but basically it never used the swap files at all, so it wasn't even worth including, so there we are. So that's 5 modern-ish games tested. I would say that the results were all about the same in all configurations, so where will you mainly notice the difference with the different swap files? Well, that's going to be in SSD usage. So with the default configuration, your swap file does indeed take up space. That is part of your other. It is 1 GB of your other space. So in my case, 1 GB there, and I've currently got 70 gigs free and 43 used. If I were to change that to 16 GB, I have now got 58 GB of others used, and I've only got 55 GB free. And if you've got the 64 GB version of the Steam Deck, that gives you 47 GB of usable space. And if you use 16 GB of that for swap, then that only leaves you with 31 GB of usable space. So do not change your swap file to 16 GB if you've got a 64 GB drive. And on the other hand, if I have my swap off, or if I use zRam, then I now have 71 GB free, and my other has dropped 1 GB to 42. So I can have an extra 1 GB of games. So if you just want to test this, you can turn this off just for one session, and to do that, all you need to do is, well, first we'll just have a quick look what is currently set. So our swap, if you type swap on, it will tell you the size and what's used, and for me nothing's used at the moment, but it doesn't matter if it is. And to turn it off, we can do sudo and swap off, and then it will ask us for our sudo password if you have set one. If you haven't, and it won't ask you. Oh, I've done it wrong. It needs to swap on off -A. That means turn them all off. I mean, you could be specific and just type in home/swapfile, but I'm just going to turn them all off because we've only got one anyway. And if we type swap on, then there is no swap. Our swap is completely off for now. Until we restart, our swap is off. And so that's if you want to test with the swap completely off. If you now want to test with zRam, what you could do is, so first sudo swap off A. That will turn off the swap because we need it turned off. Don't need it turned off. We could use both at the same time actually, but I've done enough testing now. I'm not doing both zRam and a swap file. And then we'll need to type in sudo and mod probe zRam. And then we need to go sudo zRam control without an R, and then -fs and give it a size. And I wanted to give it 8 GB. Yeah, 8 GB. So 8192 megabytes. I probably could just put 8G there actually. I'll stick with M. It's great. And then A. And I went for the, that is the algorithm, the compression algorithm. I went for LZ4. If you leave it blank, it will use LZ0 something. In fact, I'm going to leave it blank. I don't know if it makes any difference. Like I've said earlier in the video, I'm not even sure if it's actually working, because the games suggest that it's using the zRam, but the zRam control just doesn't show the right results, not the results I would expect anyway. So I'm not 100% sure if it is working or not. I probably should check the logs. I did not, because I was lazy. So anyway, and yeah, we'll just do that. So that's created our zRam. If we type in lsblk and scroll up a little bit, you will see now that there's now a zRam 0 here in our list of disks, and it does have a capacity of 8 gigabytes. So that is right. And then we need to type in sudo make swap /dev /zram. That will create our swap space, which it has done there, and given it a UUID. I didn't bother with the label. And then sudo swap on, yeah, and then dev /swap, no, zram. And then if we type swap on again, you'll see that our swap is now using zRam and not a swap file. And if you type in zRam control, it will tell us the algorithm, which by default will use LZORLE, and it will tell us some other information. But like I've said previously, that these informations are not the results I would expect when it starts to get full. Like I say, when I'm using, in one of the games it was saying I'd use 2.7 gigabytes here, and here it was saying the data was like 100 megabytes, 100 megabytes, 100 megabytes, which I would not expect. This is not what it shows on my Fedora laptop. On my Fedora laptop, it would show about 2.7 gigabytes in data, and then the compress would be a lot smaller, so like 1.2 or something like this. So I'm really not sure what has gone on there, but as you can see with the previous results though, it didn't really make any difference anyway with the swap or no swap or a big swap file. So from now on, I am just going to continue using no swap at all. And you may be wondering how you make that permanent now. So how do we make this permanent? So here in this top window, you can see my home directory, which has the swap file, and it's currently set to 1 gigabyte, which is the default. If we changed it to 16, then it would say 16. So we want to get rid of that. Or I want to get rid of that because I don't want to use swap, or I might use zRam. I'll see later. But I definitely don't want a swap file at the moment. So it's not as simple as just deleting it, because as soon as you reload Steam, it will recreate it through all the various scripts. And I haven't gone looking for where this script is to disable it. It's probably part of the read-only file system, and I don't really want to mess about with it, quite honestly. So I am going to cheat. Yes, that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to do a sudo rm. And well, first we probably should turn off the swap if you are using. If you are using the swap file, it will be good to turn the swap off. So I'll just do a swap sudo. Forget sudo swap off -a and turn off all my swaps. So, and then let's clear that. So my swaps are gone. And now I want to do a sudo rm swap file. And our swap file is now deleted. If we restart, that will get recreated. So I am going to cheat here, and I'm going to do a sudo fallocate, which is a file pre-allocate file size L, and we are going to give it a size of. So here, you probably used this before if you have resized the swap file. You've probably been going like 16 gigabytes or 8 gigabytes or 1 gigabyte. I am going to just give it 1. So literally 1 byte. 1 byte of space. And I am going to change that to home/swap file. Done. So that has now got literally a size of 1 byte. Not much space at all. And I want to change the permissions just to make sure that Steam doesn't use this at all. So we are going to do a sudo chmod, and we are going to give it the values of 0000 to the swap file. Boom, and LL. So it's got no permissions. It's got relatively no size, and if you type swap on, it's not currently been used. But if I restart, then it still won't be used. I can prove that actually. I'll prove that now. I'll do a restart. I'll do a cheeky restart. So here we are in the not too distant future, and I'll just resize that so it's out of the way. And I'm going to look at swap on, and it's not running. And I'm going to do a LL on my home drive, and there's the swap file, still with the size of 1 byte. Sorry, 1 byte. And that is it. So if you did want to make this permanent, I just nabbed this from the Arch Linux website, modified it a little slightly, but it is basically the same as what's on the Arch Linux website. So I wasn't sure how to make this permanent because I was just using it temporary for a while, and now I just don't bother with any at all. I should probably turn this into a script, but I'm not going to bother. But basically, these few commands: echo zRam into this place. You will need your sudo password, and then the second line. Again, I'll probably put this in the description somewhere to turn this on, and link to the Arch Linux website to show you what they said. And I'm going to again keep it as 8 gigabytes. Why not? I might want to keep it. I want to change it to 4, to be honest, but it seems dynamic anyway. And then I need to nano into fstab. So sudo nano fstab. I could probably use a T to a pen, but I can't be bothered. So etc. So that's fstab, and let's have a look. Oop. Knowing me, it might already be in here. Ah, yeah, there it is. And I've given it a priority of a 3000 as well. The Brabinator 3000 and the Shipinator 3000. Team Chinballs. We'll save that. Exit. Maybe I should look at that again just so you don't make a mistake, because a lot of people make mistakes in fstab. So yeah, dev zRam 0 none swap defaults comma people priority equals 3000 and 00. I'll do a cheeky restart just to show you again. Shut down now. So our home, our swap file is still 1 byte. Swap on. Our swap is on, and we have a zRam partition of 8 gigabytes with a priority of 3000. But like I say, I'm not 100% sure if the swap on I'm not 100% sure if the zRam is actually working because of the results I got. If I just do a nano of the results. So these are the results. I forgot which game I was running when I got these results, but I'll probably put a message up on the screen somewhere saying it was this game. But as you can see, command swap on told me I was using 2.7 gigabytes of my partition, whereas zRam control was saying I was using 82 megabytes and the compression was 82 megabytes. So basically no compression at all. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know, but it didn't seem to cause any issues in game. But then again, neither did having swap off causing any issues in game, which is what my preferred way of playing is going to be from now on. Well, it was already, but from now on, I'll just say. So I wouldn't advise making that permanent just yet. I would say give it a test in the games that you like and play. In the games that I've tested, it doesn't make any difference. I don't have any PlayStation games, but it does seem from what I've read on the internet that maybe PlayStation games do need a lot of swap files. So, but it might be worth testing with it off or with zRam on. I would highly appreciate some other people's results on this. I'm not buying any games this year, so I've got another month and a half left until I can buy some games. And not even a good damn video is going to tempt me into breaking my promise. So that was a hell of a lot of work through several updates that broke things on my deck. Thank you, SteamOS. Thank you, Valve, for breaking those things. And if you enjoyed any of that, then thanks, I guess. And if you are watching this because you have made other videos advocating making your swap file 16 gigabytes, this is in no way a disrespect or slight on you. I am sure that your results are perfectly valid. I am not trying to say your results are not. I'm just saying that I play different games and my results are different because of that. Like I say, it would be really cool. It would be really cool though if you did try with the swap off. I'd be very interested to see what those PlayStation games run like with the swap completely turned off, or with zRam on, if you can get it working properly. So anyway, I am starting to ramble once again. I will leave it there. Thank you for watching what is probably going to be a hell of a long video of mostly benchmark stuff. That's end there. Temporarily. Temporary. Temporarily. 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 Temp. Rarely. How the fuck do you pronounce this shit? Temporarily. Is that even a word? Is temporarily not a word? Is that like a temper? Can you say it for me? Computer, help me. Temporarily. Temporary. Temporarily. 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 I've got to think of a different word.